All right, this is a screencast on how to do the speed versus velocity activity. The first 4 cells, you'll have the data from that from your drive to school. So that will be what you get as you drive to and from school, the time that it took and the distance that you traveled. What I want to show you is how to use Google Maps to calculate the distance from your house to school by driving. You'll go to Google Maps, and the location that we're going to be going to obviously is Cassidy School. It will either come up or you can just search Cassidy School in the search bar. And then now let's say I want to find out the distance to my house. Well, in that case, you're going to then have to search for put your address in, and then it will find your house and then tell you the distance. Let's say for these purposes, I'm going to say my house is actually kind of far away. We'll go up here in Arcadia at Pops. So if I click on Pops, right, I want to find, if I click on the directions button, I then put in a location. In this case, I want to pick Cassidy School, and it will then tell me how far away it is, and it'll give you a route. Notice it says it's 17.1 miles away, should take about 21 minutes to get there. Now, there is a difference between distance and displacement, and we want to make you aware of that. So notice this route has lots of different directions. And because of that, it is a distance. It is not a displacement. Distance is part of the speed equation where you have distance divided by time. In order to calculate the velocity from Pops to Cassidy, we would need the displacement. The displacement is a little different. The way you would do that is you click on the location, and then you right click, and then you click the measure distance bar. And then you click on the location that you want to go to, in this case Cassidy, and notice it makes a straight line, or as the crow flies. And that's what it says on your worksheet. You need to use Google Maps to calculate the distance from your house to school as the crow flies. And that's how you would do that particular thing. All right. Once you have that data, you can go on to finish out the rest of the worksheet. I do want to change real quick and show you a little bit about the math that's involved, because it can get a little tricky, although it's the conversions that we've already dealt with. So it'll be good practice on making sure we know how to do those conversions. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm trying to find out, using the data that I collected from my Google account or my Google Maps, I need to calculate the average speed in miles per hour. Well, if you think to what we just found, it said that there are 17.1 miles to Pops to Cassidy School. And it talked about that was going to take 21 minutes to do that. So from that information, I should be able to calculate the speed in miles per hour. Now, in order to do that, I have to come up here and first start with the minutes, because this is not in hours, but it needs to be. I think the easiest way to do this and make sense of it is just make a conversion. So we write down what's given, which is 21 minutes. We do our thinking line. And since we want minutes to cancel, we need minutes to go on bottom. And we want to go into hours, so we're going to put hours on top. We know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And so we multiply by everything on top and divide by everything on bottom. So essentially you'd have 21 divided by 60. And when you do that, you get 0.35. And let's look at our units. Minutes cancel because they're on top and bottom, and that leaves us in hours. So now we have our miles per hour, right? We have our hours. So now we're ready to do our speed equation, which is speed equals distance divided by time. We have our distance, which is 17.1 miles. And we have our time, which is 0.35 hours. And when we do that and we do the math, you are going to come up with approximately 48.86. And our units are miles per hour because nothing cancels. Miles per hour. All right. So that is our speed that we would calculate. So driving those 17.1 miles in 21 minutes, the average speed of that car would be 48.86 miles per hour. Now, it then asks you to convert it miles per hour into meters per second. So that we can do real quick. In this case, and get rid of this. And so now let's do that. We need to start off with what's given, which we said it is 48.86 miles per hour. Now we need to do our thinking line, and we need to go from we need to get into meters per second. So let's deal with miles first. We know that since we want miles to cancel, it's going to go on bottom. We want to go into meters, and there's 1,609 meters in 1 mile, and that's a conversion factor that you'd find off of a sheet. Then we need to do another thinking line, and now we've got to get rid of our hours. So we're going to put hours on top since hours is on bottom down here, and we're going to put seconds on bottom. And we know that in 1 hour, there are 3,600 seconds. Now, we multiply by everything on top, divide by everything on bottom. Our units, miles cancel, hours cancel, and we're left in meters per second. And so when you take 48.86 times 1,009 divided by 3,600, you get 21.84. And our units are meters per second. Simple as that. All right. With that information, you can do the rest of the worksheet.